Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Photo Stories here. This will actually be episode 2. I'll leave a link down below. We're actually up here with the first episode that I did a little while back now about a kind of lookout tower at Hills and Dales Metro Park. And so you can watch that video as well. But first, we're going to get back to this episode here. And so this is a recent shot I took of a snow goose. It's a fairly common, a little bit less than uncommon bird, goose in this case, waterfowl, that comes around my area of Ohio, typically during the winter. And so yeah, it's basically a pretty common resident waterfowl that comes around. It frequents different kinds of ponds, typically smaller community ponds really, that you might find, at least in this case, in residential areas, which is pretty cool. And it's typically seen, usually just like a lone individual that's seen with, a flock of Canada geese or something, or some mallards, which are obviously more year-round common species, at least here in Ohio. But yeah, I was really excited. I saw this reported on eBird, as many of you probably are familiar with. It's Cornell Lab software, and it's like a program that you can use to share different sightings and stuff. I've mentioned it many times in other photo outings when I'm doing like wildlife photography, of course, and bird photography specifically. And so I saw this report, and this was a few days ago, and I really was not thinking about going. I wasn't going to go out with my camera and stuff that particular day, but I did have like the day off to just do whatever, but I was just going to stay home and all that. And then I saw this reporting of the single snow goose that was just literally the next town over from where I live, up north. And I'm like just kind of mulling it over with my head a little bit and just thinking, I don't know, I might do it. And this was kind of like the final nail in the coffin or the final thing that kind of just pushed me out. And I was like, okay, so I threw all my gear together in my bags, got all my, my camera batteries charged, and I made the drive up here, which is only like 10 minutes anyways, because I knew this bird in particular, at least for me, is a life bird, a lifer, which I was very excited about. So I'm really glad I could finally get this bird checked off of my list, my life bird list, and also get a few photos, as you can see, which is really nice. Obviously, I didn't spend much time there. I wasn't really planning on making a video. I was just simply wanting to chase this bird and get some photos and to literally just see it. That enough would be good enough for me. But yeah, like I said, I was glad to get some photos of it as well. Basically what ended up happening is I drove to the location. I knew it was in a very busy kind of section of town that's near some like a grocery store, different, like a thrift store. There's like a few just, kind of businesses and stuff that are kind of surrounding buildings, and some fairly busy roads around it, and the highway's just right next to really where these ponds are. And so I might as well just go back here. And so as you can see, this is kind of, obviously it's like some map view, aerial view of it. And so I started over on the right side over here, and I drove all the way down, and I knew it would be at these ponds. That's where I was sighted, of course. And obviously ducks and geese, they congregate at little ponds like this, typically these smaller bodies of water, or big ones, of course. And then so I drove up here and kind of came around here somewhere. Actually, I think I turned here, came all the way around, and then I was guessing it would be at this one. I at this point, I didn't even consider this one. I don't even know if I thought of it being there, if that makes sense. Like I just thought it was the single one on the right here, at least on this right side. And so I'm driving up kind of along here, and I'm just kind of creeping along. I'm not like driving too fast, not really idling either, but I'm just slowly going along. Roll down my window on that side, on the driver's side, from where I'm coming from. And I have my telephoto lens all ready, all the camera settings. It's turned on, of course. All the camera settings are dialed in to how I would like it. My binoculars are right beside me in the passenger seat, just so everything's ready if I need to stop or find a good stopping place to take an image and all that. I would even recommend in this case, I wasn't quite ready, but maybe like a beanbag support. In my case, I had the beanbag support with me to like put on the car door to stabilize everything, but I didn't have my gimbal head with me. So I wasn't really quite ready for that, but it was okay. I could just still brace the telephoto and all that stuff onto the side of the car and use that as kind of just a nice balance to, steady my shot, of course. So yeah, I just kind of went around there slowly, ever so slowly, and then I didn't see it. But then I noticed as I crept up to this kind of fairly busy road, this Commerce Center Boulevard, and I got to this little intersection. And at this point, I was just like, for a few seconds there, I was kind of like just gave up. Like I didn't see it. I didn't see any birds of any kind in that pond, at least the one here on the right side. And then I kind of saw over this, it's a little of a crest of a hill right here. I saw another pond, and I didn't see anything yet. And I was about ready to turn left and just kind of leave and maybe go home or just go to another location nearby and do some other birding or something. And then, so I saw this other pond, and I'm in this left turn lane, and it's, like I said, it's a decent busy road. There's a lot of traffic here every minute, and I was just kind of like, I got so excited, I just kind of, turned off my turn signal, just drove straight across the road, even though it was a left turn lane. And then I kind of go over here to this, it's a Right Rug store, and it's a dead end, kind of small parking lot area right here. And once I got across the street and got over here, that's when I saw the whole entire pond, and I saw probably a decent amount, probably about a dozen geese, Canada geese. And, clear as day, I saw the one white bird. It was a snow goose, which is really cool. And so I kind of just stood here in my car. Fortunately, I was on the driver's side facing it, so I didn't have to do any kind of turns and turn around at this point. And and I just took out my telephoto and started getting some shots. And this is what resulted of it. So these are from the car view. As you can tell, the perspective's not really insanely low. Not as low as I'd like, of course, but there is, like I said, it's kind of like the pond. It has a hill to it. It's like a dugout almost that surrounds it. So, I mean, I'm getting in, unless if I literally got in the water, which I think is against, rules and stuff. I think I did see like a no trespassing sign for these two ponds, signs, erected nearby for both of them. But yeah, this is about as good as I could do just from the car view, and honestly that works for me. It's not, like I said, the best kind of perspective where it blurs out the background and the eye level, but I mean this is pretty close. This is about as good as it gets for just making this quick trip and just spending a few minutes with this particular species. So this is probably one of the first shots. I took a good panful, probably about 24 shots total, maybe more, just continuous mode. Continuous shooting mode, at least on the camera. And yeah, this is probably one of the first ones I took, because when I first saw him, he was it was with all the other Canada geese and this snow goose. They're all kind of swimming still, but then it kind of, at least from my direction, as you can see, it's swimming again. He kind of started getting up to the grass a little bit, and that's when they kind of started getting towards the road. I wasn't really that concerned, but it was just kind of like they started walking towards the road, and I was like confused. And the snow goose in particular seemed to be leading the rest of the flock, which I thought was interesting. And this photo kind of shows it a little bit, as you can see, because it has, I included at least a Canada goose coming in from the right, as you can see. But yeah, shows the actually, kind of like this photo a little bit, because it does show physically that the snow goose is, well, obviously it's all white, pretty much, except for that black fantail on the wings at least. And it shows the size in comparison to the Canada goose. As you can see, it's much more smaller and slender. But like I said, the white gives it away. Like, you can't miss it, unless if it's some kind of like American pecking duck or some kind of domestic duck. But this in this case, it's a goose. Obviously all under the same waterfowl umbrella, I guess, of birds. So yeah, at this point he starts walking around. Here's a shot kind of isolating him a little bit. As you can see, it's in kind of a more with the detail in the background here. Obviously I was shooting pretty wide open, as wide as I could, about f6.3 I think in this case, but it does show in this case kind of the more residential urban kind of environment that I'm in. Obviously, you got the manicured kind of more mowed grass here in the foreground as it's stepping on across from right to left, and then in the background you can see some you can probably pick it apart, mulch, and then obviously this like stone kind of column, I guess, wall. And yeah, so it kind of just shows the environment, the habitat that's in. Obviously it's not really some kind of very special wildlife area or anything of that sort, which I mean is okay in this instance. I was just, like I said, glad to see this bird finally, and to even get some photographs, of course. And you can even see at this perspective, it looks like I almost am eye level. And I didn't really nail the focus on most of these, so they're not like portfolio worthy shots in my opinion, but I still enjoy it for what it is in the moment. And like I said, I'm glad to be sharing it here with you now. So yeah, it's a pretty good day out. That's pretty much it with these shots. Those are really the only 4 that I really took, that I edited at least. But yeah, I was really glad for this moment. I would definitely say, just to recommend for all you bird photographers or birders in general, is to, some days it's nice to just try card birding. Go to locations where your local patches, even where you might not have to get out of the car and hike a million miles or something to an area, specific spot at least. Just go out and just sit in your car almost, or even turn off your car in a parking lot and just roll down the windows maybe and just listen and look for the sights and sounds. And you'll be surprised what you find. And then, like I said, if you do photography with it, you could get some shots like this even. So it's something to consider. I haven't really done much card birding, but I find myself doing it more and more. And this is one prime example, especially more recently, that I have. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Check out my podcast as well. I do it with Henry Doyle, a fellow photographer and YouTuber as well. It's called the All Outdoors Photography Podcast. We pretty much add about 21 episodes now, which is really exciting. And we've got plenty more on the way with different guests, different topics to discuss and all that. So it's really good. It's a really good podcast, I think. And I've been really putting a lot of work into it. So I appreciate if you check that out and listen to it. And let me know your feedback and comments. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And make sure to have a great day.